Good evening, folks. I'm back. I'm Jack Remington of the Jack Remington NFL channel. Last week we had a sweeper. 5 wins, no losses. We now stand at 13 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie at an 87.5% clip. We just picked up Jacksonville last night with a cover, but that doesn't count for this contest simulator. It's the Super Contest Simulator because that's not fair. I couldn't get the video out. It'll count on my pregame.com selection, and that's been posted. I'm learning how to cut and paste so I can show everybody all my other posts. We're happy about that. The 13 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. I was correct about week 3 being hard to pick. This year's week 3 was, I feel, easier than the other years I can in recent memory. Some stats real quick, and then we'll get to the picks. That's what you're here for. Okay, week 3, the home teams won 8, the road teams won 8. The favorites be slapping. The favorites are covering this year. The favorites covered 9, the dogs covered 7. The home underdogs, okay, they did a little better this week. They were 3 wins and 2 losses. So year to date, after week 3, the home underdogs have 6 wins, 10 losses, and 1 push. So that's still not good, but we'll see what happens. The 7 games that are 3.5 points or less for the spread, the Broncos at home -1, Washington -1 road favorite over the Falcons. The Browns -2 at the Minnesota Vikings. Home team Miami Dolphins -2.5 versus the Colts. The 49ers home -3 versus the Seahawks. The Bears -3 are at home versus the Lions. And the 7th game, the Chargers at home -3.5 versus the Raiders. We can only pick 5 games, and there's 7 I just listed here. I told you in the other video, you need to master these games where you're not giving up a lot of points if you're going to be betting favorites, okay? If you're going to be taking dogs, I'm primarily a dog better, so it doesn't really matter. But the weeks that you're going to be doing the favorites, and I got 3 favorites this week, you need to master the games where you're giving up the fewest points as possible. You just need to pick the winner, and you'll be okay. Because now, I'm at 13-1-1. I'm going to start losing some games. I am going to start losing some games. I mean, I can't stay, now I picked up Jacksonville last night. I'm at 91%. I mean, that can't continue. No one has ever had a 91% season. The only analogy I can really think of one time, many, many years ago, I was a baseball nut before I became a football nut. The Pittsburgh Pirates had this utility player that played very rarely. He was a defensive shortstop is what he was, Frank Tavares, and he's from Panama. Well, he only had 20 at-bats, but he had like 14 hits in his 20 at-bats. No, I'm sorry, he was batting 800. And I kept telling my father, why don't they put this guy in? You know, he's batting 800. You don't understand, he's only played three games, and he's, hit the ball pretty well because they don't have any tape on him. They don't really know who he is. Well, one day, the Pittsburgh Pirates are in a pennant race with the Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench fame and Pete Rose fame, and Pittsburgh passed them for first place in the National League East. And all I can remember was that the shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates got hurt, and they brought in Tavares. One day he went 0 for 5, he went 1 for 6, and he went 1 for 7, then went 2 for 8. Next thing you know, he's batting 280. He went from 800 down to 280 because when you start getting units to go against your average, there's a regression to the mean. Comes to playing football too. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers is one of those regular season games starting from last week, from week 12. They were 7-5. They went on a good run. They won those playoff games. Had to play an extra playoff game. They're a wild card team. Then they won their first couple games, and this year, well, they lost last week. Streaks come to an end. A regression to the mean. So that's what happened here. Okay, you're here for the picks. We're going to go over the picks, and then we'll do some talking. My first pick, I'm taking the Washington football team, -1, road favorite at the Atlanta Falcons. I know I should have my head examined. I got some heat about this pick. Matty Ice Ryan. I mean, they looked okay when he beat the Giants, and the Giants had Washington beat, but the guy was offsides, and Washington got another chance, kicked the field goal, and this time they made it and to close the game out. If the Falcons beat the Giants pretty handily, and the Giants had Washington beat somewhat handily, despite their overrated defense, then the Falcons at home, and they won, maybe they get a run goal, maybe they can get back in this race. What they're not thinking of is that Washington's had 3 bad performances. They're due for a good performance. I'm looking at the look-ahead line, and I'll put that up here this time. I mean, I keep forgetting to put the lines up and everything because I'm in such a hurry to make the videos. The look-ahead line for Week 5 has the New Orleans Saints -1.5 at Washington. So what's that telling you? That's telling you that either the Saints are going to fall to the Giants, or Washington's going to outperform here, and I think they're going to. I think they're going to steamroll the Falcons. So that's pick number one. We're taking the Washington football team -1 at the Atlanta Falcons, and like I said, home underdog's not doing good this year. I'm going against a home underdog here, and the Falcons are a home underdog, and I'm taking a rare favorite. Pick number two. Another one I should have my head examined. Not looking at much stats or without looking at much of anything. I'm blindly taking the Houston Texans plus 16.5. I used to belong to a betting syndicate or informal under-the-table syndicate in Las Vegas when I used to go into Vegas every week for football. And the old guy, Googie, we used to call him. I can't remember. It was George. I can't remember his real name. And he passed 8 years ago. He said, there are gifts from heaven. When the bookmaker does this, they get the 50-50 action. It's gifts from heaven. He said, you're going to win more of these and you're going to lose. Well, this game, I think, fits that bill. The betting action has its 52% of the people are still betting the Bills and only 48% are taking the Texans. So that's almost a 50-50 balance with the tickets coming in from what I'm seeing online. And my friends email me. We talk on the phone. Nothing illegal. It's entertainment only. I got to put that in the videos too. The bookmakers did a good job with this selection, with this game here. So now they got their 50-50 action. That's the casino's ideal situation. Getting half the people to bet one way, half to take the other one. They just take their 10 or 15% off, whatever juice they can get out of you. If they put the juice too high, there will be less tickets. People won't bet. They'll find a different game. And so there's 16 games to pick from. Why am I taking the Texans? Well, they got a good offense. They can move the ball. And I think Buffalo, they just had a big, convincing win and been looking really tough other than the first week. Last 2 weeks, they've been on lights out. They've been on fire. That Josh Allen is looking good for the Bills, the quarterback. The defense playing lights out. And they just beat the Washington football team. Washington did get a couple good bombs in there to pull within 7. I thought, my God, I'm going to lose this bet. I was laying 7.5 where it was. I thought, my God, I might lose this bet. But next thing you know, that Washington didn't score anymore. I guess Buffalo woke up and again, they had their second win. And, hey, we can't let this team do this to us. We're the Buffalo Bills. And that's, you kind of want to see that if you're going to back a favorite like this. And some people got the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl. So they are a Super Bowl contender. I think they're definitely going to win the AFC East. They're going to do just enough to win the game, and the Texans, this is a backdoor cover game. I'm convinced that Buffalo's going to win the game. 16.5, this is the NFL. Pick number 3. The home favorite, we're taking the San Francisco 49ers, -3. They're hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's struggling in the second half of their games, and Minnesota shut them down to pull away in that game last week. I think Mike Zimmer's a good coach, but their defense is shot. They had a great defense a few years ago. They had the number 2 defense in the NFL, but they couldn't advance. They were 8-8. They couldn't even make the playoffs. So he wasted that defense. But the Seahawks got a pretty bad defense. I got them like the Ravens. I mean, these big overpriced perennial favorites, their defenses are getting gashed. I mean, Seattle's a perennial playoff team under Pete Carroll, who I think is an excellent coach. Now, the 49ers, I need to talk about the 49ers for a minute. The last week, I went against them. I had the Packers because the 49ers just can't win at home. Having said that, they had the win. They had made this great comeback against the Green Bay Packers, who I think is a decent team, a Super Bowl contender. And when they had 28-27 with 40 seconds left, well, that's the problem. They scored too soon. Aaron Rodgers got the ball back and got him a field goal. And they won 30-27. So it's another home loss for the 49ers. They had this monkey on their back, and I think they're going to grind down just enough. This is a division game, and Seattle's 1-2. They're flat on their back. They should be 0-3. I just think the 49ers they're going to rise, and they're finally going to win a home game, and that's what and I'm only laying 3. So that's the 5th game, the 5th lowest total for giving points as favorites. Pick number 4. We're taking another favorite, and we're taking the Denver Broncos -1. And they're hosting the Baltimore Ravens. Broncos, they beat the Jets. They beat 3 teams that haven't won a game. But still, they have to play who they have in front of them. And the reason why I'm taking the Broncos, everybody says, that Tyrone Jackson's going to run right through. No, he's not going to run through the Broncos defense. They're not going to run through. They both got injury lists a mile long. I think the Denver's slightly healthier, but they're healthier on offense. And let's face it, today's NFL's offense. A lot of people are picking the Ravens, and the Ravens could very well be 0-3. But their defense is one of the worst in the NFL. I've never seen them play this defense so bad, but the Broncos got a pretty decent defense from what I've seen so far. I'm going to take a chance, and the home team's going to pull this out. I'm laying a point. Almost a mathematical game. I mean, I'm only laying a point. Just got to pick the winner. They got a good shot at winning this game, even though they haven't beat anybody. But they still beat an NFL team. These are rich young men. They want to win, too. Okay, and the last pick number 5. I'm taking the road dog. The Los Angeles Raiders +3.5. They're hosting. They're being hosted by the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Chargers have played very well. I mean, the Chargers could easily be 3-0, and they put on a good. We had them last week against Kansas City, but we're taking the Raiders because they got the number one passing offense in the NFL with Derek Carr. They're unstoppable. 3rd and 20, 3rd and 22. The team they were playing just sacked them. You know, a rare sack. They've been protecting Carr pretty good. And you would think, and all they got to do was take a run and set up for a long field goal. He threw that thing down there, and the guy in the middle of the field caught the touchdown. And I thought, wow. I mean, I was very impressed with that. Now, last week, they tried to give the game to Miami. I had the Raiders on a teaser, and we didn't win that thing to the last breath. I changed the Cleveland pick, which turned out to be a good winner, but I was afraid of Baker Mayfield being with that left shoulder being separated. He takes one more hit, he's got to come out of the game. I mean, you can't let him have such an injury on his left shoulder, even though it's his non-throwing hand. It'll end his career if he takes a big enough hit with it playing like that. I think Cleveland's making a mistake by playing this guy. They should give him 5-6 weeks off, bring him back in the last half of the season. But no, Cleveland's not going to do that. They're going to put the guy out there and risk him. Well, that's a different video for a different day. So the 5 picks are Washington -1, Texans +16.5, 49ers -3, Broncos -1, Raiders +3.5. I think the Raiders are going to win the game outright. I like the Chargers. The Chargers are a good team. But and I meant to put this out here too. Justin Herbert's he's questionable. He hit his hand on the helmet, or he did something to his throwing hand. I mean, he might not even play. I mean, what's going to happen to the Chargers then? You know, the old Chucky boys will be licking his chops. He'll change his whole defensive scheme to scare the piss out of that rookie, whoever they stick in as a quarterback. I just think that this is a good spot for the Raiders. When they're getting points, number one offense. The NFL today is offense. My 2-team teaser. I won the teaser last week, but this week we're gonna close in on our little loss here. We're down for a little bit for the year now. We're gonna take a 7.2-team teaser, and we're teasing down the Tennessee Titans down to even at the New York Jets. They just got to just win the game. Can you do that, Tennessee? Can you beat the Jets, please? And the other team, I'm going against. This is another one. I do as I say, not as I do. I'm taking the 49ers. I'm teasing through 0. And I'm taking the 49ers +4. I can't find too many spots I want to do for a teaser this week. This is not a good week for teasers. And I want to mention that too. Either we win this one, we'll be getting close to even. And if we can win next week, then we'll be in the black. And if we can win the week after that, we'll cobble together a little bit of play money, imaginary entertainment money. And then we'll start doing 2 teasers a week. Only when you're ahead. Okay, you're using their money to punch it back at them. When you're behind, like I'm behind on the teasers right now, you got to just 5 yards of crack, a little bit of the crack. This is how you beat the casinos, I'm telling you. Scratch games. I won both my scratch games last week. I know the Saints won one. I forgot the other one. It might have been Cleveland. But this week, my scratch games were Dallas -4, Arizona +4.5. That's just for my own little tally keeping. I'm also noticing another trend in the NFL. The week 1, we had the opening Thursday night game. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl chance with Tom Brady and Bruce Arians, the coach, and the Gronk and all the great players they have. They hosted the Dallas Cowboys, and they were somewhat. I think they might have been an 8-point favorite. Might have been 9. I don't forget what it was. Dallas was winning that game. The Dallas Cowboys almost won. They took the lead with 50 seconds left. Tom Brady 50 seconds. Ding, ding, ding. Kicks them the field goal at the end of the game. Yeah, they won by 2 points. But guess what? You look at the box score. The Tampa Bay Bucs, they lost a turnover battle, 4-1. The Bucs had 4 turnovers that game. Go look at the box score. And now I saw a game last week. It was the Tennessee Titans were hosting the Colts. The Colts was either 3-0 or 4-0. They won the turnover battle there too. But the Titans still hung on and won that game. I'm starting to see the trend here that the really good teams can overcome the turnovers. And you need to pay attention to that. So that got me thinking about it. And we had Titans win against when they made a big comeback against Kansas City. I thought I had a loser. I mean, I thought Kansas City had the game locked up. I really did. When I watched that game here in my house, I was supposed to go to the cronies and meet some friends, but my dog is sick. So I had to stay. I want to stay and watch my dog for a couple of days. Anyway, thank you. And it's always a great day to be an American. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. Thank you and have a good day.